As angry as Michael was with Joseph, taking that next step, severing his professional relationship with him, was still difficult for him to do. Just as he had felt it important to give Barry Gordy a chance to redeem himself before the group took their first steps away from Motown, Michael now hoped his father would do something to interrogate himself. However, Joseph simply couldn't rise to the challenge, mostly because he didn't even know how he was being tested. Joseph never tried to impress his children. In his view, getting them to Los Angeles and making them stars had been impressive enough. He had proved himself, he felt, and that was the end of that. He's finished. John decided Michael decided of Joseph. Catherine may not be able to get rid of him as a husband, but Michael was sure to honor him as a manager. Once Michael Jackson made up his mind to fire someone, he struck to this decision, no matter who the person was, even his own father. Joseph knew it was coming, said Joseph's friend of 15 years, Larry Anderson. He knew his time was up. Michael had John Brega draw up the official documents informing Joseph that his material services would no longer be required. Michael then left the house the day he knew they would be delivered by messenger. He stayed away from home until Joseph had time to get used to the idea. It's not easy firing your father, he will later explain, and what was quite an understatement. It's a rare show of unity. The brothers acted as one in this decision. They wanted Joseph out too, and if Michael was prepared to take the first step, they would follow suit. None of them renewed his contract with Joseph. Joseph was angry at first, but soon he was crushed. I can't believe they're leaving me, he told Catherine, and the spirit caused great conflict in Catherine. Of course, she was livid with him about his treatment of her. The divorce was still pending. However, her heart went out to him over the matter of their sons. I knew how much he had done for them, she would later say, and this, well, this was just plain suffering. I didn't want to see him suffer. According to one of Michael's advisors, Michael had a meeting with Joseph in the living room of the ancient house to discuss the matter. Michael asked his advisor to be present because he didn't want to meet with Joseph alone. The fact that you can't even talk to me unless you have this guy here, Joseph said, motioning to the advisor, it hurts me, Michael. Do you know how it makes me feel? He had tears in his eyes. He looked broken. You know how I feel about you. Why do I always have to say it? Michael averted his eyes. He didn't want to look at his father. You never said it, Joseph, he said venomously. Don't act like you ever said it, even once, because you never said it. After all I've done for you and your brothers, Joseph asked, think about it. It's always been about you and your brothers. That's how I say it. Michael shot him of disdain. Oh yeah, he responded wearily. How about all you've done to Kate? What's that been about, Joseph? Michael's comment sent Joseph off, according to the witness's memory. That ain't got nothing to do with nothing, he said, raising his voice to a level that made Michael recoil. Joseph rose so that he was standing above his son, who was still seated. My marriage has nothing to do with you, Michael, he shouted at him. You know I love your mother. It's between her and me. Michael stood up to face his father, and his dark eyes were blazing. It's between all of us, Joseph, he exclaimed. If you can't see that, then I don't know what to tell you. He stormed out of the room. Joseph then turned to the advisor. It's because of you, he had said in a hurried but still furious voice. You put this bullcrap in my son's head and you're ruining our family. It's because of you. He then crumpled into a chair. Joseph appeared to be reeling, as if For him, all logic, fairness, and common sense has suddenly been suspended, and now this. He put his face in his hands and sat down in his chair, shaking his head in disbelief. In December of 1983, those Jacksons living at the Havenhurst estate, Michael, Janet, Latoya, and Joseph and Catherine, existed in a state of emotional sage. Imagine it. Michael had fired Joseph as his manager, yet they're still living in the same house together. Catherine had filed for divorce Joseph, yet he was sleeping down the hall. Of course, the sensible thing would have been for him to move out. However, Joseph wasn't going anywhere. The fact that he didn't want needing all in the house any longer was irrelevant. My father is very stern, very strict. Latoya complained to a freelance lender, Todd Gould, at this time. Deep down inside, he's a wonderful guy, but you have to know him. If you don't, you can get the wrong impression. You know that he's mean and whatever he says goes, which it does. Sometimes, though, if you really fight it out, you can have your way. Shoot out an expired sigh. But it's just not worth it. As soon as Joseph will leave the estate for a day of work elsewhere, a sense of relief washed over the premises. On Saturdays, for instance, when he went to visit Giovanni, the Havenhurst household became alive. Latoya told Todd Gold, we invite lots of kids over and play some movies in the theater, and the popcorn machine's going. The animals are all out and everyone's dancing to music. Throughout the week, Michael tried to make certain that he never crossed paths with Joseph. Should the two accidentally meet, a loud argument would be the inevitable result. Michael would end up in his room sobbing, Catherine trailing him there. Joseph would follow, there would be shouting, then more crying. Doors would slam all around. The tension affected everyone. Janet and Latoya spent a lot of time in their bedrooms with the music turned up. Of course, the Jacksons may have been having tough personal times, but they were still the Jacksons and therefore lived with a sense of entitlement that was sometimes outstanding. They all expected devotion from their staff. Employees had no lives of their own. Steve Howell, Michael's videographer at the time, remembered that it happened when he took a vacation to Lake Tahoe. I was there with my girl and made the mistake of calling the house to see if everything was okay. You have to get back there right away, Bill Bray, Michael's security man, told me hysterically. There's no television reception and Michael needs to watch TV. Get back here right away. So I canceled the rest of my trip, flew back to Los Angeles, beelined it to the house, only to discover that the cable wire was unplugged. I plugged it into the wall and the TV went on, and Michael sat down to watch TV. Thanks, he said. Good help was hard to find even in Chino. At one point, money was stolen from one of the bedrooms. The Jacksons suspected a maid. They then began leaving money out in view and would then stick about and peer around corners to see who would take it. Aha! It was the maid. Michael was the one who busted her $20. After that, the family employees were often tested. Catherine would leave the alarm in the closet unarmed, though one in which she kept her minks, chinchillas, and other expensive furs. She would leave the door slightly ajar so anyone walking by could see what was inside. She would then stand very still at a nearby vantage point to see who expressed the most interest in the furs. That person would be scrutinized very carefully from then onward. Keep your eye on that one, she would tell Michael. I don't trust her as far as I can throw her. Perhaps this kind of surveillance kept their minds off their troubles with Joseph. During this time, outsiders were not welcome at Avonhurst, especially the press, who might sniff out any trouble in the home front. Of course, persistent fans were always a problem. I love my fans, but I'm afraid of them, Michael told fellow journalist Dave Nussbaum. Some of them would do anything to get at you. They don't realize that they are doing to you might hurt you. Michael talked to Van, who had managed to get beyond the gate. We woke up and found her standing by the pool. She had jumped the gate. Luckily, our dogs were caged at the time. They're usually out and they would have destroyed her. We brought her inside. She demanded not to leave in a very rude way, so we held her until we had somebody come and take her out. And his way out, the reporter asked Michael if he would like to join him for a bite to eat. Oh no, Michael said, shaking his head. I can't go out there. He motioned beyond the other gate. They'll get me for sure. They're around the corner, and they want to get their hands on me. The turn of his eyes seemed genuine. I just don't want to go out there. As Michael talked to the reporter, his security man, Bill Bray, a former police officer, stood nearby watching. Steve Hill recalled, I was talking to Mike in the front yard. It was about 3 in the afternoon. I remember the time of day because at 3, when the kids go to school, 2 guards went on duty instead of 1. Mike and I were talking, and the next thing I knew, this girl walked up to us and said hello. Then she gave him a big bear hug with her back to me. Mike motioned to me with his arms helplessly as if to say, who is this person? I was about to say something when suddenly I felt the air break. Something moved like whoosh, the speed of light. It was Bill Bray. He grabbed the chick, smacked her to the ground, handcuffed her, and dragged her out of there. The cops came, took her away. She was crying hysterically, probably scarred to death. Michael took it all in, turned to me, and, without missing a beat, said, so anyway, and we went back to talking like nothing had happened. We had a lot of 5150s around there, so it was nothing new. A 5150, Steve Howell explained the police terminology for a mentally unbalanced person. How long would the family tension continue? Joseph had a good deal of resolve, and he may have put it at the same time. It would continue for as damn well long as I wanted to continue. Finally, Catherine had enough of the divorce drama, which was dragging on throughout this parallel family crisis. Years later, she explained her predicament. I was stuck between a rock and a hard place, she recalled. Even though I wanted Joe out, I didn't want to go public by having him forcibly removed. I knew that the press would jump on the story and I couldn't bear the publicity. It was the strangest of times for me. Some days, just the sight of them would fill me with anger. Other times, I found myself talking to him as if nothing ever happened between us. After 10 months, Catherine decided to withdraw the divorce papers without Joseph. She decided that she would only lead an empty and shallow existence anyway. She loved him still, she told herself, though she said she didn't know how she felt that way. A part of me believes that a person hurts herself more than the person she's feeling with by holding a grudge. Also, she explained, I subscribe to Christ's teachings on forgiveness. How many times he said, do you forgive a person? 70 times 7, as many as it takes. But I'm not going to pretend that suddenly everything was the way it used to be between Joe and me, she concluded, perhaps somewhat romanticizing her tumultuous history with him, because it wasn't.